you for being on the show. It's so lovely having you.
Hello, nice for having me.
Awesome. Well, if you want to tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me to this podcast series. So, my name is Sabine Krofczik, and I'm a neurobiologist by training, but I'm now working in the pharmaceutical industry for almost 10 years now. I am originally from Germany, Berlin, but I relocated to Portugal last year. And I'm 43 years old. I'm married, and I have an almost 4-year-old son.
Oh my gosh. So you have your hands full.
Yes, exactly.
So what made you move to Portugal?
So we were actually, or it was actually a funny story because I developed an aversion to flying after I lived abroad in Australia for a long time, and I flew so much that I didn't like flying so much. And my husband, he's actually diving, so he wanted to go to the Cape Verden to dive, and I just said, oh, I don't want to fly so long. So I just looked up the map and I just looked for an island where you can dive but where you haven't had to fly so long. So I ended up in Madeira, and then I thought, well, okay, let's just try going to Madeira. And then we went there the first time and we really loved it so much, and we went back a second time, third time, and so on. Then we had our son, and we actually thought, oh, it's maybe a good time to take some time off. And my husband went on paternity leave and I'm working remotely. So we just said, okay, let's go to Madeira. So we stayed in Madeira for 3 months, and that is when the dream was born. So we really enjoyed the Portuguese culture, the food, the weather, and we very quickly made friends also with a lot of locals. And that was, it was simply the best time in our lives. So, and we, after that stay, we just thought, okay, whenever it's possible for us, we would definitely like to, at that time, move to Madeira. And that's when the dream was born.
Wow. So you looked on a map. You pretty much, have you ever seen the shows where they take a dart and just throw the dart and
Yeah,
that's wherever
exactly.
they move to? It's kind of like what you did, minus the dart situation. That's
Exactly.
so you were pregnant when you moved, or were you not? Were you already had a
So
child?
yeah, so when we went there for the 3 months, our son was about 8 months old, and but I was the first time or I think the second time we flew to Madeira, I was pregnant, and at that time we already thought, oh, if we've got an opportunity to take time off, then we would like to stay here for longer. And then we already had a look at some houses while we were there, so that was of course very helpful because I think it's important to have the right house if you have a toddler and they're crawling around, because lots of the houses in Madeira, for example, have pools, which I didn't want when I've got a toddler. So it was just very good to look at the house while we were there and kind of selected the right house for us.
Oh, that's
And yeah, and we stayed there. It was a very beautiful house in the middle of Funchal, very small. Only I think the inside was only about 30 square meters. So very, very
wow.
tiny, but it had a beautiful little garden. And since everything is happening outside, it didn't feel like small. So it was our little, tiny house, our little place. And, we could, because it was so close to the city center, we could walk everywhere. Although Madeira is not the prams friendly island, but, we just got used to it, going up the hill, going down the hill. And it was just a very special time. And also for our son, because he started crawling there, he started standing up there. So, it was just
Oh,
everything was like outside. And we had a very good relationship with all the local people there and everyone. So it was very, very good at that time. And we also had, for example, a teacher once a week, a Portuguese teacher who was actually teaching, who was a German teacher at the university in Funchal, and we are still best friends. So, it was a very, very close connection with all the people that we got to know there.
so it's almost like it was the perfect move for you guys. Everything just landed into place almost.
Exactly,
Oh,
exactly,
that's
exactly. It
amazing.
was it was also, I mean, so it's an island where you do not have a lot of these, long, nice sandy beaches. So you can take a ferry and go to Porto Santo. It takes maybe about an hour, I would say, and then you've got a long strip of sandy beaches, very beautiful. But Madeira is more this volcanic island, and lots of hiking there. and also lots of mountain biking. So for example, my husband loves mountain biking. So, and that is more the things outdoor which you can do there, which of course so people, if they're interested in going to Madeira, this is what they would really like, need to like, this kind of nature and the activities that you can do there. But I think it's perfect, and it has a nice climate, and it's very diverse in a way, this
That's
island.
great. I mean, it's funny because when I thought of Madeira Island initially, I'm thinking the islands, sand, beach, water, perfect island. But it's good to know that it's completely different, and it's great for people that are more outdoorsy, that likes to hike, like you said, has other activities than just the typical what we think island would be consisting of. Since you had your son at 8 months at that time, so from 8 to 11 months, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Did you find that there were a lot of activities to do with smaller children on the island?
Yeah, so they have, since we went there for 3 months, I proactively looked for some toddler clubs, which I joined, and then I went there once a week, and I met other mothers. It was, of course, very challenging because my Portuguese was simply not existing at the time. So, but it's just, it was just nice, to see what basically the other mothers doing, and how the culture is. And they, for example, also have a toy museum where I went with my son, and I started speaking to the people that were working there, and they then told us that, for example, the theater in Funchal, they have once a month a very nice babies and children concert, and it's very, very beautiful. So I think it's good to really speak to the people, to the locals, just to see what activities are happening, because there are also lots of festivals depending on the time when you are in Madeira. So there's a flower festival, there's carnival. So it's just, the people are very, very active with all of these festivals, and you have parades on the streets and so on. And also the island so it's very easy to drive around with a car. So there are several nice places, for example, a nice town called Jardim, which is really, a tiny, tiny village. But on the way there, you have a little farm for children with a few animals, and, very nice playgrounds. All of the playgrounds have kind of ocean view, which was for me amazing. You go to a playground and you have the ocean next to you. In general, the Portuguese, and of course also Madeira, they're so child friendly that everywhere, the way everything is set up, it really makes it easy for parents to kind of find activities with children of all the different ages.
If you had to list off 5 favorite places, activities to do with children in Madeira, what would you list off?
So yeah, I think in Funchal, it's really the cable car trip. So you can take a cable car and then go up the botanic garden, and it's very beautiful. And in a cable car, you can fit an entire pram and everything. So you can fit an entire family in there. So it's really good. And I think like the cable car and the botanic garden was one of my top tips. And also near all of the area around the harbor. So so you can really walk along the harbor. There's like really nice cafes, and then at the end of the harbor, there's a very nice park where you can simply sit, and there's a little lake with also some ducks. And for like children, it's just nice to hang around and just go to a playground and watch the ships go by, because you've got all these large boats coming in and out. So that is definitely something that I would recommend as well. I also really enjoyed the toy museum. It's not that large. They also have a very nice shop there for toys, which I found very good. They have got lots of these natural pools, which are also very nice for children, because they're not, high waves or anything. So Porto Muniz, for example. So Porto Muniz from Funchal, I would say it's maybe 2.5 hours by car, because you have to go over the mountain. But, you can simply go there, and then you've got this natural pools where people are just sitting, and, the little ones can play, or, if you've got larger children, they can of course swim. And so I think that this is also very nice. And then the whole area, what I just mentioned about Jardim, where you have these villages where there are also no cars. So, the children can like run around on the beach, and you don't have to watch all the time because cars are driving. So that's also, a very nice place to go. So I think that these are my top activities. Yeah.
That sounds like fun. I actually like the cable car situation. I think that'd be a lot
Yeah.
of fun for the kids. So since you visited there before you had a child and then now having a child, did you find that there were any challenges with having children and living on the island of Madeira?
So, I mean, first, if I think about when I went there when I was pregnant, because that's also what I've done, if you are not very good with serpentines, then and you are pregnant, that didn't really fit well for me because so in general I'm not very good with driving a car up and down the serpentines, and then when I was pregnant that was really a no-go for me, so we really didn't do a lot of driving when I was pregnant. And in general, being on an island, so it's definitely when you live there for 3 months or even thinking about relocating there, it is an island, so you do not have access to maybe the things that you are typically used to. So for example, Amazon or things like that. So things you order, it's not that easy. So you just have to be either a bit more open and flexible to, the local things which are there, maybe different brands or so on, or you really have a strong, network outside of the island that can simply ship you things. But so you just have to take into account that this can be a bit more costly, or you cannot have so quickly access to all the things that you are maybe used to. That is maybe something which I would think, thinking about, toys and all the different things that you need when you've got a child.
Was there anything in particular that you were looking for that you couldn't find on the island?
So we are a bit unique maybe in a way because we used cotton diapers. So and we did research before, so we couldn't find cotton diapers in Madeira. So we brought everything. So we had like our large box with all the diapers that we brought, and we washed them, and yeah. So that was basically something that was a bit unique specifically for our situation. But other than that, I also had a little, baby cook. It was like a little one which you can take with you, and that was basically perfect because we cooked our own baby food and things like that. So also again here, if you've got a specific quality standard which you would like to have, maybe think about easy way to cook the food for your child yourself.
So since you lived in Berlin, Germany, and then moved to Madeira, which I find to be completely opposite, I would say, right? Or
Yes.
do you miss certain amenities and things from your life in Berlin to now an island life in Madeira?
No, we actually, I think, was really a relief coming from a big city to a small island because we
Oh.
felt like our brain was completely, calmed down, and it was a completely different mindset which we acquired there through the different time there. Okay, and now the little one is coming.
Hi. You're so cute. How are you? It's okay. My little one's shy too. She would have done the same thing.
No, and the problem is he didn't hear you because I've got my earplug,
Oh,
so he didn't
okay.
hear you. He didn't hear. And of course, the funny thing is he doesn't. It's so funny because people always speak or start speaking English with him, but he only speaks Portuguese and German. So yeah.
Oh, well, he'll learn English soon enough, I'm sure. That's great that he
So
speaks Portuguese, though, or he knows Portuguese.
yeah. So he's now starting really building sentences and things like that. It's very quick. Yeah.
Oh,
So.
wow.
Mhm.
That's great. So you prefer more the less stressful, calmer life.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that, and that was specifically, I think after we had our son, we realized the reasons why we were in Berlin before, because of work and because we wanted to go out and have bars and restaurants and parties and things like that. This time was basically over. So, and it was actually that we found it with the child too stressful after a while being in Berlin because of all the cars, all the people. If you go to a playground, you are there with of course 100, 200 other kids because it's a huge city, right? And if you are on an island, it's a bit more isolated. So to us, it felt really, really nice, and we really felt home very quickly there. So
And then how was it moving during a pandemic?
yeah, I mean, moving during a pandemic was actually not that of an issue, but the only thing that we basically had to plan a bit more was the administrative stuff because not all offices, for example, you can simply go in and apply for your taxation number and whatever you need. So we basically had to find someone locally in Portugal that can obtain all these different admin tasks for us, and we basically had to obtain a power of attorney in Germany and then give it to the people, local people here, and then with that they were able to do all the administrative tasks for us. So I think typically without a pandemic we could have simply flown here and just did a lot of the admin stuff ourselves, but we couldn't because of that. So that's why we had to delegate it to someone locally, which is a bit more planning, and of course you have to find the right people that you trust. But I can definitely, in general, I would recommend anyone who wants to relocate to a different country, if they can, really think about getting someone who can help with these services.
After discovering Madeira and falling in love, do you see yourself living in Madeira long term?
No, initially the idea was to relocate there completely to Madeira, but one of the key items for us was to find the right and perfect school for our son. So Madeira, of course, is an island, so there are not so many different school forms as you would expect. So they have an international school, but most of the schools are normal Portuguese public schools, which are also great, but we specifically wanted to have for our son a Waldorf school. And after performing several weeks of research, we realized that this specific school form that we wanted does not exist in Madeira. So that's when we changed plans and just said, okay, let's then check the mainland for the Waldorf schools there, because we knew that they have got this specific school form on the mainland.
So you decided to move to the mainland due to wanting to find a certain type of school. Did you find a region where you want to live on the mainland of Portugal?
So, I mean, the way we approached that was that we thought about, okay, what would be, and we actually drew a mind map, my husband and I. So we just, drew a map and just thought about, okay, what are the key elements that we need when we relocate? And it was the school, but also, a bit of the surroundings. So it became clear that if it is mainland, it should be either, around Lisbon or basically more south in the direction of the Algarve. So that was first, that we had a bit of boundary to that. And then I did some research and I found at that time 3 schools, which I really found interesting. And then we wanted to make appointments with them and go to Portugal and visit them. But then the pandemic came. It was a bit of a break in the relocation plans, and we had to rethink everything a little bit after COVID-19.